Hello folks, I hope you all are doing fine and I'm fine too again. So today we are going to continue with our further lecture. So in last lecture we talked about that what is life, and for that we went for a different kind of characteristic. But other than breathing, is there any characteristic or something which can help you to differentiate between the living and non-living? So we studied about the growth. That yes, growth is one. We also talk about reproduction. That okay, both of these are the characteristic which will help you to differentiate between living and non-living. But then we also talk that these two can only be the characteristic and not a defining property. So what could be the defining property? For that we are going to study our today's lecture, and that I would give it a third number because of course this two also helps, na? So it is called as metabolism. What we call it? Metabolism. So this is a combination of anabolism and catabolism, where I will give you an example of something, but before that. So all the livings do the metabolism. So to know what is metabolism, certain things we need to know is we all are made up of chemicals. We know this, right? There are carbon in us, there is hydrogen, the water, the H2O. All of these are chemicals only, yes. And there is constantly this biochemicals, you can say, because they are in us, in the living one. Constantly these biochemicals are doing different kind of chemical reactions in us. Now that reaction is what we call it as a metabolism. As I say, a combination of anabolism and metabolism. So let's just take an example. You take a food, okay, and that food is a complex one, right? All the carbohydrates, protein are mixed in that. What is going to happen? First, it is going to be break down into the smaller particles, right? And then it is going to convert into the ATP, or you can say energy. So all this thing is called as catabolism, which is a part of metabolism. If there is the small particles are coming together and forming a big large complex, then it is called as anabolism. Together, this is what we call it as a metabolism. And that, my people, can only happen in livings. Now that is something we can count on. Metabolism. All livings and only livings can do this. So what happens in growth? All livings can do the growth, but not only livings do the growth. Non-livings also do that. What was the problem in the reproduction? Only livings can do the reproduction, but not all living can do the reproduction. But here in the metabolism, you can say only the living one and all living one do the metabolism. So again, no non-living exhibits the metabolism. No non-living exhibits metabolism. Okay, remember this. मतलब इसको ना ऐसे याद करके रख लो. Okay. So this is what we can call it as a defining property. Okay. Hence, this cellular organization of the body is a defining feature. Let me write into the very big letter so you may remember it. Defining feature. Okay, so what is a if they ask you in the MCQ, what is the defining feature of the living? So what are you going to write? You are going to write that metabolism and another one thing which I'm going to talk to you about are the defining feature of living. Clear? Okay. So this is the third one. There is one more thing which will help you to differentiate between living and non-living, and that is consciousness. What is it called? Consciousness. Okay, so it is called as a consciousness. Now, what is this consciousness? Imagine you went to, you wake up in the morning and you went to your balcony, okay, and in a early morning, and then there is a cold wind, and because of that, you experience cold. And then you went again in your room because you want to stand in a balcony anyhow. So you went to this room, you take the blanket and then you wrap it around yourself, and then you came to the balcony and enjoy the view. What was that? You feel that in the environment is cold. You went to your room, take blanket, it came again. So you reacted to that situation, okay, and then you came again to the balcony. What was that? This is what we call as consciousness. You can feel, you can sense, in other words, you can sense your surroundings. You can sense your surroundings. And that, my friends, are called as the consciousness. Okay, so how you are able to sense your surrounding, that okay, in my surrounding there is a cold, you sense it, and then what do? You get aware about that surrounding, that is a cold. So you went to your room and you take a blanket, you reacted, you give the reaction to that. That is consciousness. And how that can become? That can only if you have a sense organs. Okay, so you have the sense organs in you that will help you to sense this kind of thing, okay, anything surrounding you. So you are aware about your surroundings. We are aware about ourselves, and that is why we have this consciousness, and it is a living thing. Only livings can do that, and all livings can do that. So that again, if there is all and only coming together, it is a defining feature. Remember that. If there is only one thing and only all, then it is not a defining property, it is feature. If both these things come together, then it is a defining property. Okay, so that is in our case. Let's just say in plant. Did plant can do that too? Because we say they are also living. Yes, plants also reacts to the surrounding. How? So you may have seen that whenever there is a sunlight, okay, they tend to be more be on that side. Okay, so sunlight, if from sunlight is coming from this side, they are going to some kind of a band on this side. Okay, so they also react to the environment, their surrounding, and that is why they also have this consciousness. So all of we who have the ability to sense their surrounding are having consciousness and are called as living being. So again, this is a defining feature of living. So this was it. We talked about how we can differentiate between living and non-living. In last lecture, we talked about growth and reproduction, which two are the characteristic to differentiate between these two, because both of them have only one of this. Okay, so they are just a characteristic. But what we studied today, which is metabolism and consciousness, are both the defining property. Both are the defining property. Why? Because only living being and all living beings can do that. So I hope you got the difference between the living and non-living. In next lecture, we are going to study about the diversity of this living world. So stay tuned and have a good day.